Well, hello, I'm here with Doug to talk about banning the vaccine and other topics. And that's the first thing. RFK Jr. and Trump are apparently going to ban the COVID-19 vaccine entirely within a few months. And this has led several medical boards to rebel. And so we are now going to have a fractured medical advice community in America instead of a scientific consensus, which we used to have. Um, and RFK Jr. is threatening physician groups that if they, in fact, give valid medical advice and tell people that vaccines save lives, that they will be liable for medical malpractice suits. And what will probably happen is all the health insurance companies will refuse to cover these vaccines since the official government is against them. But it's starting with the COVID vaccine. But RFK Jr. made it clear over his last decades of advocacy that he would like to ban all vaccines and probably also pasteurization and pretty much everything that depends on the germ theory of disease, rolling us back to like 1790 medicine. Appears to be where we're going. I see someone has joined us named Brian. This is not a class. We're just recording a podcast. But anyway, so that's it for the anyway. It's kind of a worst case scenario, just like Trump putting the military in our blue states. And the Governor Pritzker of Illinois had a very strong statement saying, I think entirely correctly, that what Trump is doing is clearly going to, the point is to put the military in the blue cities to stop people from voting. And what he did in the past, he wanted to impound the voting machines and just say that any votes made in places that would vote against him just don't count. And I think we can be guaranteed that will happen in 26 and 28. So they're getting us used to the idea of the military being used against American citizens, just like dictators all over the world do. They rewrite history and erase medical facts. The African dictators typically all say AIDS doesn't exist and just rig elections just by brute force. And I think we're in our current totalitarian dictatorship. They're going to have all that happen right here in America. So I recommend protesting anyway while we still can. Anyway,
Yeah, we'll see, won't we? We'll see.
we are living through uh,
Interesting
big
times.
history times. I mean, the end of the American experiment or close to it. And let's see, Nancy Mace has, who is one of the more extreme far right lunatics pulling off a lot of stunts all the time, has actually done something that makes sense. She wants to have a cybersecurity reform that will let people hire people for government cybersecurity roles without a degree, instead with being self-trained and other experience, which would be pretty good. I remember maybe 8 years ago, the head of the cybersecurity division said he wanted to be able to hire people who had a history of smoking marijuana. That shouldn't freeze them out either. So I don't know if that ever happened, but it certainly is the case that cybersecurity experts tend not to meet these rigid standards. Anyway,
Okay, we'll see how this experiment. Uh,
you'll see if you can get it
uh,
passed. That hasn't been passed,
yeah,
but that's just a proposal. Um, Also, there's a lot of people talking about Trump's poor health. On the red carpet in Alaska, he couldn't even walk a straight line, not even remotely. And his hands always have bruises that look very much like he's been having regular intravenous needles stuck in his hands, suggesting that something is seriously wrong with him, which wouldn't be surprising. He's pretty old and he doesn't have a very good lifestyle. Uh, so, but they're still putting on makeup and pretending everything is fine. I mean, his swollen ankles didn't impress me much because I've known people with that. I mean, that's quite common. You just wear compression socks and you're fine. But he isn't apparently wearing compression socks and his ankles aren't stopped being swollen. So that suggests either there's something else wrong or he is resisting the usual treatment. Anyway, I there does seem to be an increasing amount of evidence that something is in fact seriously wrong with Trump, and that may deliver us from this dictatorship, uh, even though election
well,
may not be possible.
be be careful what we get.
Well, that's right. If Trump were to be removed for medical reasons, then it would be J.D. Vance. and he will certainly continue the Project 2025. But I think that would be an improvement because I think he cannot possibly sell it. I don't think anybody has the salesman skills of Trump. I think under J.D. Vance, people will notice this is garbage and they won't feel an emotional need to follow him off the cliff. That's why I think the end result of the Trump term will be a total burning down of the Republican Party, followed by a big backlash to the left.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like a forest fire cleaning up all the dead wood. Uh, at least that's my what I expect and what I hope. The alternative is that we do completely sink into a dictatorship and it passes it on to his son or something, and we just become a hereditary dictatorship, or Trump just lingers on forever, as a lot of dictators do linger on even when they're sick and dying. Um,
Yeah. So, Sam, I got a quick question. I'm kind of looking here. Why is the CDC no longer recommending COVID-19? Why is that a new story?
well,
When
what's
I'm looking, it dates back to May.
Yeah, ever since the Trump administration got in, they've been decreasing the recommendations, saying now that only people over 65 should take it and not infants and not pregnant mothers. They've been backing down stage by stage. But the thing that's expected now is just a complete banning of the COVID-19 vaccine
I see.
because they've added a new quack doctor who has influence over RFK and Trump, who believes that the vaccine does more harm than good, which is,
I see. So we're kind of chipping away. First,
yeah,
we say the elderly, then
yeah,
we say or first we say kids shouldn't get it,
yeah.
then the elderly, and
Yeah,
yeah,
step by step. And this is the same thing like
okay,
they did with abortion. First, they make it real hard to
right,
have an abortion clinic. Then they limit how many there are. Then one state bans it. Then more states ban it. It's it's the steps by which we descend into the dark ages.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so Trump, I mean Musk rather, okay, uh, is suing the FTC. I think, yes, the FTC is suing people who dared not to advertise on Twitter. And this is suing Media Matters. Media Matters was the group that published this screenshots of how companies that advertise on Twitter would have their post appear right next to Nazi propaganda, which is all over Twitter. And they
Yeah,
therefore removed their advertising, saying it's not safe for us to advertise in this climate. And Elon Musk sued them, saying that's a boycott and that's illegal. All of which is very bizarre, completely outside the law. It's legal not to advertise. You're not obligated to buy it. Boycotts are legal. But anyway, it's continuing, and the FTC is now doing it. And a former FTC commissioner has, of course, flagged this probe as appearing bizarrely politically motivated to protect Musk. But we'll see if that goes anywhere. The courts have generally not been going along with the more extreme extra legal activities of Trump, except the Supreme Court, that does seem to be completely in his pocket. And
yeah,
in the same vein, many people are worried about Starlink. As we already seen, Starlink gives Elon Musk great political power over military activities, and we're dependent on it. And he does just turn it off when he doesn't like what the Ukrainians are doing, things like that. So a Swedish startup has made a Starlink alternative, which sounds very interesting. The system is named RU1. It is billed as the world's smallest and lightest millimeter wave radio, a form of communications that is very fast and has a huge bandwidth. And what they do is they say they can deploy it in minutes to keep units connected to the internet and networks. It is not using satellites. It's a mesh network. So they just, I guess, leave some units behind on a post or a hill or something and just have a path back. And so the devices can be installed on tripods or on drones. And
hmm.
multiple RU1s can then link into a resilient mesh. So this does sound like a very practical solution for a military operation that doesn't depend on satellites. In general, even if you had an alternative satellite system besides Elon Musk, satellites are extremely easy to shoot down.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
logically,
true.
it doesn't really make sense for military maneuvers to be dependent on satellite communication.
Yeah, yeah. Well, have we, has there ever been a satellite that's been shot down?
Yes, the Russians and the Chinese have both shot down some of their own satellites, And this is
Okay.
have been greatly criticized for this because both of them then created thousands of pieces of shrapnel going in orbit that everybody has to dodge from then on.
Yeah.
People don't like it. You can do it. It makes a mess, but you can do it. And I think people would not scruple at making a mess during wartime.
Yeah. But then, right, it's got to be cleaned up.
Well, there is currently
Um,
no known way to clean it up. There are a couple of missions up there trying to clean
yeah.
up dead satellites, and even taking down the intact dead satellites is prohibitively expensive. Catching the shrapnel after you blow one up is essentially impossible. It's moving at high speed. It's like a swarm of 2,000 bullets.
Yeah.
He
And
has
we're
any idea how to
talking,
catch that.
yeah, like a paint chip could be detrimental.
That's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
so you nobody has any idea how to put up a net or anything to catch that stuff.
Yeah. I heard somebody talk about giant Nerf balls.
If something like that worked, it would be great. Right now, what they're doing is they're tracking every piece of shrapnel, of which there are thousands, and they're plotting every satellite and every space launch to dodge through it all. And
Yeah.
that gets harder and harder as there's more and more junk flying around.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, Sam. Okay.
so what have you got? That's all the politics I wanted to mention today.
Yeah, well, I got some political ones. So after 400 years, you know what's happening in Denmark?
I do not.
Denmark is ending postal mail delivery of letters.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so they are apparently the postal service is just going to be delivering packages and letters will be outsourced to another company.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've talked about ever since email came out, like 50 years ago, everyone said, why do we still deliver letters? Who's writing letters anyway? But an awful lot of people are sending letters, but it's all junk mail. I have piles of it to throw away every day.
Yeah, well, Denmark is saying about a quarter of the mail they deliver, this sounds high to me, are actual mail, is actual mail, meaning non-junk mail.
Well, maybe their culture still has people writing letters to each other. I don't think a
Well, what?
human has written me a letter on a pen in 20 years.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to the post. I mean, the post box. I mean, my mailbox in a long time. It's always the same ads, right? You just throw them away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I was going to add to that is it's Denmark was one of the first countries to be early adopters of technology. And so mail is just being sent by the people, I guess mostly senior citizens that have difficulty with the technology.
Sure. And I know
So,
some people feel like a letter is more personal for like a birthday card or something, but
yeah,
it's a small
yeah,
part of the market,
yeah,
at
yeah,
least in
yeah.
America.
Yeah, pardon me, shrinking market, I would say.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing Doge could do. They could do something like that here, and that might actually save some money, like they quit making pennies. There are some things you could actually improve about the way the government works, but they didn't bother with any of that.
Yeah. So the other one I'll lead off with is Trump is back in the news again. And you know what ban was supposed to go in effect after 3 delays?
Was it TikTok?
Yeah, the TikTok ban.
Yeah,
So it's been delayed yet a fourth time until mid-September.
yeah,
So that's about a month.
yeah.
And we'll see what happens in a month.
Well,
So,
supposedly Oracle will buy it or Microsoft or somebody. That's the idea.
yeah, yeah, one of the companies. But pardon me, I have not been following it. Have there been any suitors that you
I
know of?
Last I heard, people weren't really all that interested. And, I wonder how important TikTok is. Of course, I don't know since I'm a government contractor, I had to take it off my devices, but I don't
Yeah,
even see news about TikTok much anymore. Seems to me like the competing services, like YouTube Shorts and stuff, may have begun to render it less important, but maybe it's still the only thing kids under 25 watch. I don't know. About a year ago, they said something like 80% of the people under 25 get everything from TikTok. Maybe that's still true. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either. Well, yeah, I do know that YouTube Shorts has really taken off
Yeah. I mean,
and become very popular.
yeah. People said TikTok is great because the algorithm will totally zero in on what you like. And when I tried it, it didn't have that effect at all. It was all just completely boring and useless. It was just like watching a bunch of TV commercials. I, the so-called algorithm to find something interesting to me did not succeed, but I didn't give it a whole lot of work try before I gave up.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I watch YouTube shorts, and that algorithm I'm not impressed by.
Yeah, I've been watching YouTube and I don't see any AI in the algorithm. It just seems to send me stuff that you could do by any keyword search.
Yeah,
Um, as a matter of fact, in practice, I don't think the algorithm does anything. I just subscribe to stuff, subscribe to authors I like. So in effect, it's like the original Twitter, where you would just follow people you choose to follow, and that's it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
this so-called mighty algorithm, and it hasn't turned me into a mad conspiracy theorist or anything. I don't know. I've been reading all these articles about how the algorithm will control your life. It doesn't seem to be controlling my life. I guess I don't use
yeah,
it the normal way. Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well,
All right, what else you have?
I got a few AI ones. Probably the most interesting one is that now everybody has agentic AI, where the AI can do things for you. And now they have agentic AI browsers, where the browser can shop for you and such. And what they found, which shouldn't be too surprising, is that if you do have an agentic AI browser, it will totally fall for phishing and click on the phishing links and send your money to the phishing sites. And since it's automatic, you don't get a chance to stop it. Because, of course, it's not smarter than you. In fact, it's much stupider than you. So this is like, putting a small child in charge of your shopping or something. Uh, and now there's phishing emails that are aware of the fact that people use AI defenses. So the phishing email has a visible part that tells you something to fool the human, and in an invisible MIME section, it has text which orders the AI to pass it through. So it makes an attempt to fool both layers of defense. So
Got it.
yeah, this is all pretty expectable. And then I have a whole lot of InfoSec stories, far more than usual. Um,
Okay.
Uh, this one I thought was quite clever. Uh, I didn't know this, but large language models now take images as input. This has been around for a while, but for
Yeah.
some reason they don't like to take the full resolution for big image. They will scale it down. And so what these guys did is figure out how to make an image that looks harmless, but when it is scaled down, text appears with instructions for the AI that you can't see in the original image because they've reverse engineered the scaling down process. So that's pretty clever. That's a form of steganography, I guess, a hidden message.
Right. Right.
There's a Docker escape applying to Docker desktop on Windows and the Mac, and it's incredibly simple. It's just got a listening port on 127.0.0.1 that's available to every container on the box and anybody who gets on the local network with an unauthenticated way to do arbitrary code injection. So it's just an unprotected API endpoint. A pretty simple flaw, very common flaw, and they patched it now. But um, there's and there's one that's been going on for over a couple of weeks since DEF CON about clickjacking. The password managers have browser extensions which fill in things automatically, and therefore you can just put some kind of malicious page that makes you click on something where it fools you and you're actually clicking on an invisible element doing something else. So with a single click anywhere on an attacker controlled website, they can steal users' data, credit card, login credentials, and so on. And all the browser password managers are in the process in various stages of fixing this.
Okay.
Latest clickjacking. And Apple has a image format called DNG from Adobe. I didn't know about this, but it's an image that compressed format that can contain more than one image. And if you tell it that it contains two components, but it only has one, then it does out of bounds write, just like a buffer overflow, and you can take over the Mac with it. Zero click remote code injection. And it's already been used in targeted attacks. So Apple has patched that. You need to update your apples. And the next one I thought was really fun, V-Shell. This is an attack on Linux. And what it does is it embeds bash commands in the file name. and it sits there. The file name contains like backtick, execute this base 64 stuff, which
Yeah.
is arbitrary commands, and that just sits there until your backup utility or your logging routine tries to list all the files. And when it lists the file name, it executes that code. So that's pretty clever. And
That's
this
very clever.
sails past malware detection, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's like second order SQL injection. It's this is a very clever one, I thought.
So I'm just wondering, how would virus detection programs detect it?
Well, they just have to look in the file name now for malicious code, just like remember there was a time when they didn't look in alternate data streams. And
Right.
they just need to think of this new place to hide bad
Yeah.
stuff and
Okay.
scan it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what have you got? You got some security ones?
Oh, not really, but I was going to talk about another under the Biden administration. You probably have been following this. The government under the CHIPS Act
Oh
was
yeah.
giving 8.9 billion to Intel.
Right.
Okay, that was under Biden, the CHIPS Act.
Right.
And Trump comes along and says, "Hey, wait a minute. We're not giving you the money.
Yeah.
The government should have something in return."
Yeah, I know. I've been hearing a lot of commentary on it. I mean,
Yeah.
so
So
now
that's
this is arguably straight up communism, right? Where the government seizes the means of production.
you could look at it that way, but
Yeah.
under the CHIP Act, they were given 8.9 billion to Intel,
Yeah.
and Intel isn't doing that well right now, as we all know.
Oh, they're swirling around the drain.
Yeah, so Trump said, "Hey, wait a second. I'm not giving you the money.
Yeah.
We want to have a stake in the company." So
Yes.
Trump is asking for 10%.
Yeah.
Intel, with their financial position, is in no position to negotiate.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, there's common stock and blue chip stock, right?
Yeah. And I thought this was going to be like a non-voting ownership position or something.
Yeah, so instead of the good stock, they're giving them the bad stock, if you will.
Well, like so many things Trump does, this was never done before because everybody understood the US government shouldn't be nationalizing companies and owning them unless you go through a whole process like we did with the railroads and the phone companies. And and yet there probably isn't exactly a law against it. It's true of a lot of things Trump did.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
just sort of unthinkable and wrong, but perhaps not exactly illegal.
yeah. So here's the thing with common stock is whatever assets are left after creditors, bondholders, and preferred stockholders are paid
Yeah.
is when common stockholders are paid.
Yeah. Yeah, they
So,
just wanted to set up a sovereign wealth fund. This is what the U.S. government has not done this, like invest in things to bring in money. And there's been arguments all my life that they shouldn't do it because the government is not like other participators in the financial market and they will
right,
distort it. Like, the Republicans have always wanted to privatize Social Security and Medicare. And if you make a totally private company do it, that would probably be pitting in our structure. But if the government starts directly meddling in the financial markets, it distorts them. And
okay,
Trump's trying to do that too. He's trying to fire one of the members of the Fed board now, not the chair, but another member. But if he can just take over like other dictators, he can then order them to produce false financial reports and just order them until everybody's fine, things are fine when they aren't. And this is how you get 80% inflation in countries like Venezuela, when the
yeah,
political leader can
yeah,
just manipulate the financial system and like change your currency values and stuff, which is totally what Trump wants to do.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll see if there's any guardrail left to stop him from doing it. The woman he tried to fire has come out and said, I refuse to leave. He doesn't have the authority to fire me, which is a good first step. But we'll see.
Yeah, we
Uh,
will see.
yeah. Well, I got a few more of these security stories. Um, there's this one's interesting because it's an attack I've totally been talking about in my Android security class for a long time. Deceptive websites are mimicking application install pages from the Google Play Store. They just copy the whole page. So it looks like you're downloading it from the Google Play, but you aren't. And of course, you're getting malware infected Android apps.
Yeah.
Now, in order to respond to this, Google, I did not know this, but since 2023, Google has now required developers to prove their identity to put stuff in the Google Play Store, and that has greatly decreased the amount of malware in the Play Store. It used to be you could just put in malware, and when they kick you out, you just make another fake name and put up more malware. And they finally stopped that. And now they're going to imitate Apple, and they're going to require that even if you distribute your Google applications outside the Play Store, you're going to have to verify your identity or the stuff won't install on the phone.
Hmm.
So that is
Hmm.
interesting, and I wonder how well they can enforce it and all that. I guess everyone's going to have to register an identity with Google, even if they're not putting their stuff in the Google Play Store. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see if they can do this and how effective it is. It might make Android as secure as iPhone, or at least move it in that direction. The operating system is intrinsically less secure. It doesn't isolate apps as well, but this would certainly improve the probability of getting malware out of the Google Play Store, which has had a lot of malware.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You keep telling us that.
yeah, in fact, there's another one here. Just came out an update showing there's 19 million downloads of infected stuff from the Google Play Store with a banking Trojan that has a keylogger, SMS interception, and anti-detection tools. And this one is pretty clever. An APK is the single file used to distribute Android apps, and they're just zip files. But what they did is they made a corrupted archive. They changed some of the flags. It has invalid compression and encryption flags. So when your security tool tries to scan it, it's unable to open it with Java um, library functions.
Oh,
However, it still runs on the phone. So that's pretty clever. They found a way to corrupt the header that does not stop Android from processing it, but does stop the inspection tools from running it. So that's a pretty good scam.
very good scam.
Yeah, yeah. And there was a audit of the Department of Energy, which is rather like the audits we hear of Department of Defense, to see how secure they are and compare them. And what they found was last time they audited them, they made 63 recommendations. Well, they've only implemented 19 of them in the last year, 30%, and they have 79 new recommendations. So their security is terrible and they're falling further behind, which is true of, I think, all government agencies and the military every time they audit them, because now we have pretty good frameworks that say what you should do, but nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we can measure the gap between what you are doing and what you should be doing. And it's large and getting wider. And I tell the students, this is job security for us. This is why you have to keep hiring more security professionals, because it's a bad situation getting worse. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
XKCD that it says succinctly, the thing to understand about information security people is that we're all really bad at what we do. And you hire a bunch of us and you still get hacked. So all they can do is hire more of us.
Yeah.
So you could argue that what we're doing is a scam too. But anyway, we are doing the best we can for what it's worth. Anyway, that's all I've got. Have you got
Agreed.
any more?
Well, I was going to bring up the radioactive shrimp. Have you been following that?
I saw that. First there were radioactive bees and then there were radioactive shrimp. And,
Oh, I missed the bees.
and the government tried to say, oh, there's nothing to worry about here. And I say, gee, it seems to me like our radioactive junk is leaking out in the environment. I guess I'm just stupid to think that way.
Well, it's not that the shrimp per se are radioactive, which is kind of misleading to everyone, right?
Then what
And
is?
in other words, the shrimps, as I understand it, and I'm a little confused by this, there was a shipping container that had radioactive material in it, and the shrimp, I guess, brushed up against it, is what I'll say.
They just
And
reused a container without cleaning it out first.
yeah, yeah, something along those lines.
That's
But
pretty
what I
incredible.
also don't understand is the shrimp is packaged.
So this is Joe's combination radioactive waste and food packing plant.
Well, you know where they've done this at is when they're bottling different foodstuffs.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll do peanut butter. They'll make a run where peanut butter goes through, and then they'll do something like vitamin pills. And so the peanut butter cross contaminates with the vitamin pills.
So they were just processing radioactive waste through their equipment and then processing food through the same equipment.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know so it's cesium. I
Yeah.
don't know where that came from. And I've been looking, I can't get a good story to know where it is. And, 10 years ago, this level of radiation would not have been picked up, is what I've read.
Okay. Well, that
And
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, and it's only because we have much more sensitive equipment that's able to pick it up. I also
Yeah.
haven't found how many shrimp you need to eat before it becomes a health issue.
Yeah. Well, there's all that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, there's always something like this to worry about. If it's not that, it's microplastics or some damn thing.
yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
no matter what you do, after a while you get sick and die. That's how it is.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's not been able or who's been able to survive.
Well, Greg Kirchwheel, Bray Kirchwheel, thinks he'll be the
Yeah,
first. He thinks
we'll
he's going to
see.
upload his whole brain into a computer and live forever because he believes all this, AI stuff, how the AIs are going to cause technological advancement to move much faster than humans, faster than Moore's law. So now that we have AIs that are smart, they're going to move centuries forward in just the next few years, and we'll live in an age of miracles.
Yeah, well, that'll work until somebody kicks the plug on them.
Well, they'll be so smart, they'll just take over and
Right.
run their own nuclear plant or something. But
Yeah.
anyway, I don't think any of that's going to happen. In fact,
Yeah.
I often discuss it with my students because right now nobody can get a job because they're using AI everywhere. And yet, a couple of weeks ago, IBM came out or MIT came out with the report that 95% of the companies that deployed AI have found out it's not working. So I think within a couple of years, the AI craze will be over and they'll be back to hiring humans again.
So, Sam, what did MIT come up with again?
They found that 95% of AI deployments in corporations have failed to meet expectations.
I see. So that means 5% have.
Well, yeah, and they said if you want to do it, people who make their own AI tool almost always fail. They say what works is to buy a commercial tool prepared by a vendor that does one job and then give it to your workers to help them do that one job. You don't replace humans with AI. You add a tool to them, which is a tool that has been chosen to actually help them on their job. I've seen several versions of this. You ask your workers what part of your job is like tedious and repetitive and boring, and then you find a tool that will speed that up. That works.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just, firing your staff and putting in a bunch of AIs and saying, there, it's all fixed, that really doesn't work.
Yeah. Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So, realistically, it will just make workers a little more productive, just like word processors did and stuff. It's another tool, but humans have to be running it because the AI has no sense.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it could do something like, summarize these 500 emails, tell me how many customers are complaining about this product, that kind of thing it can do for you.
Yeah. And so, Sam, what do you think is on the horizon? What's the next AI, next self-driving car, next augmented reality, next Google glasses?
Well,
Or
gee, I don't know. I mean, everybody's
oh,
talking about
okay.
agentic AI is the next thing, where AIs are going to be doing things without human supervision. And I think that's going to crash and burn pretty fast.
You mean like making a bed, or how about driving a car?
Well, I know. Well, the evidence is pretty good that they're not doing a very good job of driving the cars. And
Yeah. So, Sam, would agenics would that fall under the category, or pardon me, would self-driving cars fall into that category?
I guess they would, although I haven't heard them described that way. Um,
Yeah.
and Salesforce has a bunch of products they say are agents to do certain customer relation activities, and they say they work pretty well. I don't know. Um, so, but those are incremental advancements. I don't know what the next big thing would be. I mean, in the world of security, it'd be great if you could have an AI intrusion detection system that actually blocks the threats. And everybody's working on that, but so far the results aren't very impressive.
Yeah.
They'll probably have some version of that that's actually worth having in a few years. Um,
Okay.
but I don't see any revolutionary thing coming.
I don't either.
But I never would. I'm not one of these future prognosticators that can
Yeah.
see around the corner like Steve Jobs could. I mean, I certainly wearable computing, they've been talking about for decades. If you didn't have to carry a cell phone and something was just built into like your glasses or something, that would be nice. That's gradually coming.
Yeah.
Brain
Yeah.
implants are coming. Elon Musk's brain plant has been
Yeah,
starting
but
to work.
that's not for everyone, you know.
Well, if it worked, it would be. It'd be cheaper than instead of getting a cell phone, you just get a brain implant. But that's probably 20, 30 years out before you'd be doing that with healthy people.
Well, there was a guy on Shark Tank who was advertising a brain implant for a cell phone. I
I
think it was a cell phone.
I know. I mean, that was my thought when I'm Google CEO proposed it a couple decades ago. I said that would be great if you could just have a brain implant that connected to the internet. Uh, but that would have to actually work a little better than what they've got going right now.
Right, right,
The
right.
one I've never understood is why the drug addicts don't just get a brain implant going into the pleasure center. That would seem to be cheaper and safer and than buying a bunch of heroin and giving
True.
essentially the same result. Somehow it never became popular. I don't know why, but
Well, I've always been an advocate of oh shoot, now I can't remember. Uh, um, what is it? Holistic heroin. Am I wait,
what's that?
what's the medicine that you take that every time you dilute it, it becomes stronger?
I don't know of anything like that.
I think isn't it
You're
holistic
talking, you
medicine?
mean this is the idea of, oh, they call that hermetics or something. Yeah, there's a term for this. This is, scam, where diluting it makes it stronger. Yeah, there's a term for that. It's one of the popular alternative medicine scam terms.
Oh, it's been around for
Homologic or something.
homeopathic.
Homeopathic, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Sam, I'm telling you, we could sell homeopathic medicine or
They do.
homeopathic heroin, cocaine.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't even be illegal.
Yeah, but
It's
the
a,
one thing you shouldn't sell is homeopathic birth control pills.
yeah, well, they're up there with every scam. Uh,
Guaranteed
Now that
to
you've
be.
mentioned it, I'm surprised RFK Jr. isn't pushing homeopathic vaccines. That would probably be the next thing.
Oh, there we go, Sam. There
Yeah.
we go. What would we sell?
None of it, not me. But I wouldn't be surprised if we'll have Trump branded homeopathic vaccines. That would be logical to go with your Trump Bible and your Trump steak and your Trump water.
Uh-oh, here's the problem. The term homeopathic vaccine is a
Yeah.
misnomer for a scientifically unfounded alternative to immunization.
Oh, that sounds like the deep state blocking our important medical
Oh,
advances.
yes, yes, there we go. There
Yeah.
we go.
All right. Well, this
Yeah.
one's going to get flagged by YouTube. I can tell you that.
It'll be a first.
No, no, we've been flagged before. A bunch of ours have like a warning about vaccines on them. If you say anything about vaccines, they'll pop up a community note.
Uh,
Guys, rather than listen to these idiots, maybe you should click on like this CDC website to find out the truth about vaccines. Although now that Trump has completely corrupted the government, we're going to have basically say, well, here's what the government says, but don't listen to them. You better listen to like the Canadian doctors or something.
well, it turns out in homeopathic
Yeah,
remedies
yeah.
called nosodes. I've never heard of this for an Nosodes. These are homeopathic remedies prepared from deceased animals or human tissues or discharges, then diluted to the point where there are no active ingredients remaining.
Yeah, it sounds like essentially homeopathic vaccine.
Yeah, it is a homeopathic vaccines. They're
Yeah.
promoted for a variety of conditions, including measles and polio, but there's no scientific evidence to support their effectiveness or safety.
Yeah, remember there's this cave someplace where people go down there to be exposed to the radiation thinking it's good for them.
That's in Europe.
Yeah,
They're they're luxurious like hotel rooms
yeah,
that you spend a couple hours in, like a spa.
yep. Yeah, well, anyway, I think that's enough for this one.
I think so too. I
We'll
think
have
so
another one
too.
on Friday.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah.